Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Wonderful to be together as we work our way to the end of our secular year. And as we celebrate this Shabbat together, we join and will welcome Jackie forward to light our Shabbat candles. And the blessing can be found on page 2.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shal Shabbat.
Amen.
We turn together to page 10 as we join in My Hine Matov, how wonderful, how good it is for us to be together. Last week, many of us were together at the URJ's 150th celebration, which was a mini biennial, if you will. And on Friday night, we had the pleasure of having services with about 1,000 people. Which is about a fifth the number of people who usually come to a biennial, by the way, but nevertheless, as a kind of last-minute sort of put together, it was really a wonderful, amazing experience. We'll talk a little bit more about it after, but one of the things that is powerful is that sense of community that is built when we have a group of people in a room who are all engaging and praying and singing together. And although we're not quite 1,000, the more we join in that sense and that singing and joining together in the songs and the prayers of our service, that lifts us all and brings us closer to that sense of connection with each other and connection with God. So let's join together.
הנה מה טוב ומנעים שבת אחים גם יחד הנה מה טוב ומנעים שבת אחים גם יחד.
We turn together to page 12 and join in Lechuna Ranana. Come, let us sing joyously to Adonai. Raise a shout for our rock and deliverer.
Lechuna Ranana, Lechuna Ranana, Lechuna Ranana, Ladonai. Lechuna Ranana, Lechuna Ranana, Lechuna Ranana, Ladonai. Naria, Naria, Nitzuri Shenu, Dekadma Favitoda. Naria, Naria, Nitzuri Shenu, Biesni Rodairado. Lechuna Ranana, Lechuna Ranana, Lechuna Ranana, Ladonai. Lechuna Ranana, Lechuna Ranana, Lechuna Ranana, Ladonai.
And we turn together to page 20 as we join and welcome our mythical bride. Our mythical bride known as Shabbat, that moment in which we reconnect and reestablish our faith and our love and our connection with God through this extraordinary experience we know as Shabbat, a way of leaving aside the complications and the stresses of normal and daily life, and yet going forward into this mythic world of Shabbat, this world of peace and of happiness and of being together.
Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nai Shabbat, Nekabela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nai Shabbat, Nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'diborecha, Yishmiyahu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'litila. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nai Shabbat, Nekabela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nai Shabbat, Nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Ki mekor haveracha, Merosh mikerem nesucha, Sof maseh b'machshava techila. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nai Shabbat, Nekabela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nai Shabbat, Nekabela. B'li v'shalom ateret bala, Gam b'simcha u'b'tzola, Toch emunei am segula, B'li kala, B'li kala. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nai Shabbat, Nekabela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nai Shabbat, Nekabela.
Please, as we continue on page 22 with Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat, a psalm, a song for Shabbat, it is good to praise Adonai, to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night, with a 10-stringed harp, with voice and lyre together.
Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat, Tov lehodot l'Adonai, Uzamer l'shimcha elyon, Uzamer l'shimcha elyon. Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat, Tov lehodot l'Adonai, Uzamer l'shimcha elyon, Uzamer l'shimcha elyon.
On page 24, we join in Shalom Aleichem, those words of welcome, those words of hope for a sense of peace, a sense of wholeness for us all.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We rise together as we turn to page 26 for Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitgada v'yitgada shmei Rabbah.
Amen.
Yamad yivarach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'b'yamechon u'chayedecho beit Yisrael. V'gala u'bizman kariv v'yimeru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam le'almaya. Yitbarach, Yitbarach v'yishalach, Yitva'ar v'yitrumam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, Shmei Kedusha b'richu, le'lam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, tamiran be'alma, v'yimeru amen. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Please be seated as we continue with Ma'ariv Aravim on page 30. Thank you, Bob, for shifting over. It's clear that I had the camera installed as a short Jewish guy, not understanding that there are other people who are much taller. So, yeah, thank you. Let's join together in thanking God for the experience, the wonders, the miracles of creation. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhmah poteach sha'arim, uvitvuna meshane itim umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim b'mishmerotehem b'rakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom umevi layla, umavdil ben yom uvein layla, Adonai tziva'ot shemo. El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, ha'ma'ariv aravim. Page 33. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. So we rise together and turn to page 34 and join in Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Please be seated as we continue with V'ahavta, page 36.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol lebavcha v'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavecha Hayom al levavecha, vishinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, b'shivtecha b'veitecha, u'vlechtecha v'aderech, u'shachbecha u'v'kumecha. Ukshartam leot al yadecha, vehayu letotafot bein einecha, uchtavtam hamizuzot beitecha, uvisharecha, leman tizkeru, vasitem et kol mitzvotai, V'hitem kedoshim le'Elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, lehiot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Adonai Elohechem emet. Page 39. Let's join together in the middle of the page. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osefele, nora tehilot osefele.
Malchut achara uvanecha b'keyam lifnei Moshe uMiriam ze'eli anu va'amru Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. V'ne'emar kifada Adonai et Yaakov u'gelo miyad chazak mimenu. Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. Page 43. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. V'hamidenu malkeinu lechaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen.
Page 45. We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment, enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. We thank God for the experience, the opportunity of Shabbat with Vishamru on page 44.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, ledorotam berit olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, ledorotam berit olam. Beni uven b'nei Yisrael, oti leolam, oti leolam. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz, ve'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, ledorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi shavat vayinafash, shavat vayinafash, shavat vayinafash. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, ledorotam berit olam.
We turn together to page 46. Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, and rebuild a weakened will. So we rise together. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agit tehilatecha. Adonai, open our lips, that our mouths may declare your praise.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'Mevig Ula Lifnei V'neihem, L'man Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Lam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol Harav Hoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Nichamocha Bal Gevurot, Umidom Elach, Melech Memit Umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman Hatala Chayot HaKol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol, Atah Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh, Kadoshim B'chol Yom Yahalu Chasela, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Please be seated. Days pass and the years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like lightning, illumines the darkness in which we walk. Help us to see, wherever we gaze, that the bush burns unconsumed. And we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we didn't know it. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Let's join together on the top of page 55. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day, and may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Page 57. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer. Wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands, you are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. Page 59. Let's join together. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha u'lecha na'eh lehodot. Page 61. Our prayer for peace. This is a complicated time in the world, certainly. The ongoing wars, Ukraine and in Israel and Sudan and other places. So much pain, so much loss. And yet we hold that precious hope of peace, sense of the complete opposite, the sense of wholeness and completeness, sense of being able to work and be and live together with people, even if we don't agree with everything, even if we don't necessarily see eye to eye, we can coexist. And so it's with that hope in our hearts that we join in this prayer for peace. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Ki ata Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam.
One of the remarkable moments as part of the URJ's 150th was when Rabbi Danny Friedlander and Cantor Jeff Klepper came up and sang their version, that song which they wrote 50 years ago as young adults. And it was this amazing sense of connecting between all of the different generations who were at the conference, because this is a staple within the youth movement still, and also is sung in many, many congregations, if not most congregations. And it was just wonderful to be there celebrating 50 years of their making not only this song, but many, many, many others. And just a great sense of being in that moment of connection and history. And so we'll spend a few moments in our own quiet sense of contemplation as we look inward to the prayers that we have in our own hearts, our own minds, some moments of silent prayer.
Ratzon imrefi ve'yon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri vegali.
We turn together to page 253, and we think of all those in our lives who need a blessing of healing. We think certainly of those in Israel whose lives have been turned upside down by this tragic war. We think of people around the world whose lives have been so challenged through all manner of conflict. We think of those who are struggling at this time of the year with sadness, which is quite common. And we think of all those who are working their way through healing in any sort of variety, whether it's healing of body or mind or whole soul or heart. And in our congregation, we especially mention Carol Ford, James Chavez, Elizabeth Fogel, Sherry Gayampa, Wendy Sherman, Irv Willis, Michael Shervetsky, Rabbi Brad Bliefeld, Arlene Sandelstein, and Stephanie Willis. If you are joining us via live stream and you would like to add a name, please add the name into our chat. And if you are here in person and would like to add a name, please do so as I look around. We join together.
Misheperach avotenu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheperach imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We turn together to page 259. Let's join in our prayer for the state of Israel. Avinu Sheba Shamayim Tzur Yisrael V'Go'elo. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May those who love you prosper. Together, O Heavenly One, Protector and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Amen. thinking back on our 150 years of history as a reform movement, if, there is this wonderful midrash that speaks of Moses looking down on a teaching of one of the Talmudic rabbis, and Moses is enlightened and is really excited by this quote. And one of the students says, well, where do you know that from? And the Talmudic rabbi says, well, our teacher Moses taught us this. Except Moses had no idea. Right? Because we are a people of continual change, growth, development, and we are constantly reshaping and indeed reforming what Jewish life is at any particular time. Now, we as a reform movement may be 150 or maybe 190 or so years old, but the thought process that is part and parcel of reform is far older, and really, I would argue, goes all the way back to the very foundations of Jewish life. Because as you look at the various different, even generational iterations of Judaism, they are constantly changing and constantly different, even in just the Torah, let alone the other biblical texts. Because the Judaism of Abraham and Sarah is not the Judaism of Isaac and Rebekah, nor is it the Judaism of Jacob, nor is it the Judaism of Joseph, nor of the people who ended up living in Egypt for generations, nor is it the Judaism that exists after we leave Egyptian slavery, or after Sinai, or after wandering for 40 years, or after finally re-entering into the land of Israel. This is something that we have as a people mastered. This ability to morph, to shape, and reform who we are. Because if you think about the things that were important in 1873 when they established the movement and they sat down in Pittsburgh with, I think, representatives from our congregation as well, as one of the founders. Were we one of the founders? Even Walter wasn't there. No, Lyman wasn't there either. Close. Well, we were amongst the founding congregations, and in those moments of deciding what that movement was going to be, what was important? Well, we decided that anything that was not rational, we got rid of. So we got rid of ancient garb. We got rid of wearing a kippah, or a talit, or tefillin, or anything that was ritually based, that didn't have a rational or logical approach. We certainly opposed anything connected to the idea of a return to a state of Israel. It was seen that we didn't want to be seen actually as having an allegiance to another place. We wanted to be seen as purely, in this case, North American Jews who were firmly committed to living in North America and not just biding time until we could return to some other homeland. The idea that you could have both a clear identity as a North American, a Canadian, and an American, and also be committed to Israel as a national homeland of the Jewish people really wasn't part of something they could even think about. It wasn't, they never even thought that was a possibility. Language of prayer. We eliminated most of the Hebrew. Anybody grow up in the Reform movement? Okay, so you remember the little black book, right? Right, okay, the Union Prayer Book with all of its very beautiful and yet dated language with these and thines and therefores and all the rest. And the service was very much an English-based experience where one would rise for the watchword of our faith. Yes, and the very few prayers that may have been done in Hebrew were done, usually it was said in English, said in Hebrew, and then sung. So if you missed it, you got it 3 different times. Which we still do some of that for effect, but in this case, it was pretty much almost everything, you know. The idea that people would read together in Hebrew a passage was unheard of. Even the idea of a bar mitzvah was significantly, if not abolished, certainly discouraged for a period of time. And it was only in the post-war years where we began to have many more people from Europe who were a little bit more traditional, and then we reintroduced a lot of that.
Yeah, Dad could not be more interested on Shehassan, so he went to Brit Shalom. His grandfather was going to make sure he had a bar mitzvah. And he went, studied out here, and he had it at Brit Shalom.
Right. So in that time period, it being a very classic Reform congregation, we had rejected the idea of bar mitzvah as this antiquated, elitist, and also exclusionary practice, which was the way they thought about it. And they had embraced confirmation, which happens when a child's 2 or 3 years older, much more mature, it's a group experience, and it was open to both boys and girls.
When my mother wanted me to become bar mitzvah, Rabbi Kurd said, "You teach him." To my mother. Yeah.
And she did.
Yeah, well, the reform of the 1870s, those were almost all Germans at start with, because that's where real reform came from.
Well, they were, right, so the original ideas of reform all came from Germany in the 1830s and 40s, and then made their way here to the United States. In fact, one of the creations was things like Sunday school. Why did we create Sunday school? Henrietta Zoltz created the whole concept of Sunday school. Why did we do it?
We followed the Protestant traditions.
No, that's what we did, but why did we do it? We wanted to make those immigrant Jews into North American Jews. So we wanted to acculturate them into North American ways of thinking and ideals. Very much, part of this whole concept. The Hebrew Union College was created a couple years after the establishment of the Union for Reform. Well, right, then it was the Union of American Hebrew Congregations, which, by the way, in those days, the word, if you were a Hebrew, that was seen as being a more sophisticated way of saying a Jew. So many people, for instance, on the census records, listed themselves as being of the Hebrew faith or the Mosaic faith. It was seen as a way of, that the term, being a Jew was somehow derogatory. And this was seen as being a little bit more elevated. In any case, all of these things, if you walked into, I can imagine Rabbi Kurik or some of these great rabbis of the day who would come to a service today. And I wonder what their comments would be. Right? What would they have to say? Would they recognize it as their own? Would they recognize their own contributions to how we got from there to here?
I remember when Rabbi Whitman wore a tallit for the first time. He wore scandalous.
Well, I remember, and this was, 27 years ago, I was being ordained, and I was interviewing at a fairly classic Reform congregation, and they said, look, before we go any further with this, you need to know that it's in your contract that you may not wear a kippah on the bima. I said, thank you. because this was such an issue even, then, and this was well after most had embraced wearing kippah and talit and all the rest. But yeah, it was a huge shift. And we have, if you think about it, shifted tremendously, right? Our services are far more engaging and informal. We have communal singing, we have participation, we have families coming together, we have different kinds of seating, we have certainly different kinds of instrumentation. The music is radically changed, and yet we are essentially still who we are, right? As Reform Jews constantly striving to create a Judaism that speaks to us. And that, I think, is really it's a line that I give to many of my colleagues, and I love talking about it, especially with inter-Jewish dialogues, and saying everybody is a Reform Jew, they just don't really want to admit it. I usually get into trouble. But in terms of the philosophy of it, it's really the only philosophy that holds significant weight and water. Right? It's the only one that really makes sense, and you can point to any stream of Judaism and say that this is how they are operating, whether or not they're willing to admit it. By making informed choices, by deciding what they do based on their own experiences and on the authority of the texts, et cetera, et cetera. Now, you weight things differently in different movements for sure, but the process is really one that is part of who we are. So, anyway, it was really an interesting moment to go through a real reflection of the last 150 years of developing who we are, and knowing that we are in a great place of being the largest Jewish movement in North America, and really the movement that is leading the way for so many parts of the Jewish community. So, Shabbat Shalom. We will continue on page 282 as we rise for Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ועושה הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים עמו, ושכינתו זו בגובהי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפזולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, וארץ מתחת אין עוד. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. When cherished ties are broken and the chain of love is shattered, only trust and the strength of faith can lighten the heaviness of the heart. At times, the pain of separation seems more than we can bear, but if we dwell too long on our loss, we embitter our hearts and harm ourselves and those around us. The psalmist said that in his affliction he learned the law of God, and in truth, grief is a great teacher when it sends us back to serve and bless the living. We learn how to counsel and comfort those who, like ourselves, are bowed with sorrow. We learn when to keep silent in their presence, and when a word will assure them of our love and concern. Thus, even when they are gone, the departed are with us, moving us to live as in their higher moments they themselves wish to live. We remember them now, they live on in our hearts, they are an abiding blessing. We are in the period of Shloshim for Sharon Abramowitz and Zach Scherbel. And we observe Yahrzeit on this Shabbat for Miriam Cohen, Abraham Cooper, Emma Kahn, Catherine Weiss, Bertha Cohn, Shirley Kalbeck, Louis Pollock, Francis Eisenberg Kramer, James Schuster, Minnie Brody, Charles Shapira, Meyer Todman, Nathan Wolfe, Figa Cohen, Joseph Burstein, Abraham Hyman, Celia Rich Moss, Stanley Ratner, Pauline Schaffner, Martin Sender, Gilbert Schulman Sr., and Elaine Kahn Bondi, and Francis Eisenberg Kramer. If anybody has an additional name that you would like to add, if you are joining us via live stream, please add it into our chat. If you are here in person and would like to add a name, please do so. We turn to the words of Kaddish on page 294, and we rise. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ba'alma divra churutei v'yamlich marchutei, b'chai echon u'v'yom echon, u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, b'agalav izman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach la'alam u'lalmet almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yithalev v'yithalal shemei d'kudsha b'richu, la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min Shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Please be seated. I'd like to welcome Janice Whitmer's house forward to share some announcements.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Shalom. First of all, Jesse, beautiful singing as always, the music, appreciate it. And Rabbi, I learned a lot. I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot today, so that was very nice. Thank you so very much for the beautiful service. So services tomorrow, Saturday, are at 10 a.m., and the Torah study is at 11 a.m. And announcements. The temple office will be closed on December 25th, and also on January 1st. And in the week in between, December 26th to the 29th, there will be limited hours. Call the office if you have questions regarding any of that. And also, next Friday, services on December 29th will be YouTube only, so don't come here, because no one will be here, but do please, log in and watch it on the YouTube service. Thank you very much. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Yeah, great. We're going to conclude with a song, Shir Chadash. I don't know if it's in our books or not.
I have no idea.
I don't think it is. So it's not in our book, so we'll follow you along.
Just sing whatever. Shiru Adonai
Kol haaretz, shiru Adonai,
Shir Chadash. Sing unto God, all the earth, a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God, and we'll all sing along. All the earth, a new song unto God. Shiru Adonai, Kol haaretz.
344.
Adonai, Shir Chadash. I'll note that for next time.
There you go. Thank you. Join together.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. V'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu. Zikaron le'maaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila le'mikra'e kodesh. Zecher letziat Mitzrayim, ki vanu Ve'otanu kidashta mikomim, ve'shabbat kodshecha, ve'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
L'chaim. We thank God for all that we eat.
Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.